Hello there, this is Yana Smakula for Paper Tray Ink, and thank you for joining me today. I am so excited to participate in Paper Tray Ink annual online stamping event called Stamp-a-Faire. In this video, I will show you how to turn simple paper die cuts into beautiful iron-looking embellishments for your project. Since this year's theme is all about wedding anniversaries, I created a bold, graphic-looking anniversary card with a faux iron heart. So let's jump right in. I picked several colors of cardstock to create a background for my project. I want to do an inlaid die-cut look and have a metal heart inlaid in my background. The colors I have here are Raspberry Fizz, Sweet Blush, Summertime Sunrise, and Limeade Ice. You can pick any other colors, and this background is actually a great one to utilize little colored cardstock scraps you might have. I do have a similar card idea created using different colors, darker, more masculine colors, so don't limit yourself to just these. I also have a piece of thin paper. This is just a leftover grid paper from a previous project, and I've cut this one to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I'm going to cover one side of this paper with a double-sided sticky tape. I'm using scrapbook adhesive sheets. You can also use Stick-It, or if you don't have any of those, you can use regular tape or tape runner. Do not use anything too thick, as you'll need to be able to die cut through this paper, adhesive, and your colored cardstock. So I'm going to adhere my colored cardstock panels onto this panel to create a graphic background. I'm using grid lines on my work surface to help me align things and make sure I adhere everything on a straight line. I've added the 4 colors and I pretty much have my background started. I'm going to take this to my paper trimmer and we'll trim it to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, so the size of an A2 card front. I have leftover pieces of cardstock and I will actually use them later to create another card like this. Now for my faux iron embellishment, I decided to use the 2 hard dies from the To Have and To Hold coordinating die set. These cut an outer and an inner outline of a stamped heart. I'm not going to use the heart stamp itself, but I will only use the dies on their own. I've connected the 2 dies together and they actually have a very tight fit. I would say they even probably overlap a tiny bit in 1 or 2 places. You want to make sure your dies do not overlap at all or overlap as little as possible. By all means, the cut edge should not overlap, as if it does, and if you send it through the machine, you would have ruined your die. I'm going to position this on my background, and we'll secure this in place with washi tape, and we'll run through my machine to cut. So now I have my background cut into 3 pieces, a color-blocked heart and 2 negatives. I will set the heart aside and I will use it for some other project later. It's way too pretty to throw away. And for now, I will be working with the 2 negatives. I also need to die cut an identical heart out of white paper or black or any other color, it doesn't really matter. I've kept my dies connected with washi tape so I can create an identical die cut, and this is what I'm actually going to use to create my faux iron embellishment. Now, you might think, why did she cut another heart if she could have used the color-blocked heart instead? Well, you cannot, because the cut lines or the areas where the different colors of cardstock meet will remain visible, and that will create a slight imperfection in your finished project. So it's just best to die cut another element. Now, to create my faux iron embellishment, I'm going to use a good old method, which is heat embossing. I'm going to heat emboss the entire surface of my die cut with silver embossing powder to create that unique metallic or iron look. I have a strip of paper here. I've added little washi tape handles and I've adhered my heart onto this piece. So I've created a handle that I can use to pick up the heart and hold the heart without actually touching my heart die cut. I'm going to dip this heart into embossing ink pad to cover the entire surface with the heart with sticky embossing ink. I have this old embossing ink pad and I just use it for this technique. Now to press the heart into the pad, I like to use a clear block. This way I don't get my fingers dirty and I can be sure I've pressed the entire surface of my die cut evenly onto the pad. When I'm not using the clear block, I just set it on the side so I don't get any ink on my work surface. Now that my heart is inked, I'm going to cover this with silver embossing powder and will heat set the powder with my heat tool. Now at this point, it doesn't look like much as we don't have enough powder just yet. So let's go ahead and repeat this a few more times. I'm going to let my heart cool. I don't want to press hot embossing powder into my embossing ink pad as it will just create a big mess. And once the heart is cool, it actually takes just a few seconds for it to cool. I'm going to repeat adding ink, adding embossing powder, and heat setting it. The 2 layers of embossing powder already look better, but I want to add even more powder to make this look more realistic. I usually like to go with 3 layers, but you can experiment and do more. Do 4 or maybe even 5 layers of embossing powder. After I'm done adding embossing powder, I'm going to carefully remove the heart from my handle. The sections where the heart has been attached onto the handle now have uneven edges. Now, to round those up, I'm going to zap them with my heat tool just once more. Just really quickly for a few seconds, and that melts the powder again and smooths it on the surface. Our faux iron embellishment is ready. It's time to assemble our project. Here I have an A2 white top folding card base. I'm going to use my tape runner to add adhesive and will first adhere the large negative background. Then we'll inlay the iron heart and we'll finish off by adding the small negative die-cut piece inside. I really love how bold and vibrant this background looks and how this faux iron heart instantly pops off the card. To finish this card, I've already heat embossed a simple sentiment that reads, "Happiest Anniversary Wishes." I used the same silver embossing powder and I foam mounted my sentiment onto the card going across the heart. I created 3 projects to show you various ways you can step up this card design. I embellished my first card using white Nuvo enamel drops. For my second card, which is actually done in the same color combo, I stamped images from the Gathered Garden stamp set in watermark ink. This created a shade darker impression on my paper. And for my third card, I switched up the colors and went with a cooler palette. I used Enchanted Evening, Dark Chocolate, Ocean Tides, and Ripe Avocado papers and combined both the watermark stamping and enamel dots. But this time I used Nuvo drops in Liquid Mercury to accentuate the cool iron look. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I was able to inspire you to create. I will see you next time. Bye!